I be like, hater, never let them fade ya. I need you to say something, sis. You don't need no makeup, you got so much flavor. I need you to say something, sis. Yeah, all I see is a queen, you just need your crown. Greatest gift to the world, they can't bring you down. Major, time to do it major. I need you to say something, sis. Yeah, hey.
Hey guys, this is Shardae with Say Something Sis, and I want to welcome you to our very special Juneteenth episode. It is rare that I will drop a special episode, especially so soon as I do a regular release show. Don't want you guys to get overwhelmed or tired of my voice, but I had to do something today. Today is Friday. Today is Juneteenth, and it's now one of my favorite holidays. So I kind of wanted to give you a little brief history on Juneteenth, and then I wanted to jump into this amazing interview that we have. But before I talk about the interview on Juneteenth, it is June 19th. So it's this Friday, and pretty much that's what it is. It's a combination of the word June and 19. And let me tell you a really quick funny story. As of 5 years ago, I had no idea what it was. I know, I know, I am late to the party, but it's better late than never. And what was crazy was I was working at a little chiropractic office. I was the office manager there, and it was in a predominantly white part of town. And I was at my office minding my own business, and a young lady walked in, and she was always really regal about herself. It was actually crazy because she always used to walk to her chiropractic appointments, and she said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I live about 40 minutes away." But she was really big on holistic health and wellness and things like that. And we always exchange pleasant conversations, but nothing in depth. And she leaned in this day, and she was like, "Happy June 5th, Juneteenth," and I'm like, "Yeah." Like, yeah, okay. I was so confused. I had no idea what she was talking about. And she gave me the fist and she threw it up. And I was like, dang, I need to figure out, what's going on. So I ran home and I told my husband what happened. And he looked at me and was like, you don't know what Juneteenth is? And I was like, no, I don't. And that is when I picked up the phone, like we all do, and I Googled it, and I was absolutely amazed. So basically, pretty much what Juneteenth is, it is when the General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and told the slaves that they were emancipated from slavery. And what's really crazy about Juneteenth is literally in 1863 is when Lincoln had signed the Emancipation. So technically, they were free for 2 whole years. No one told them. No one just decided to tell them. They just let them go on and, being in captivity for, 2 extra years. So I think that fact alone is crazy. Another crazy fact I'm gonna, guys, hit you with, and that's a cis fact real quick. It's just that all of our states, except for four, recognize Juneteenth. I don't know if you can guess what the four is, but I am about to tell you. One is South Dakota, North Dakota, Hawaii, and Montana. So if you live in any of those states, I need you to write your governor, call your city hall, your mayor, and try to get that recognized as a state holiday. Um, so I want to wish everybody that's listening a happy Juneteenth. I wish you all blessing and prosperity, and I hope you understand how important our freedom is, or as they say, free-ish since 1865, and we take advantage of it in every single way. Today we have an amazing guest. His name is Lance Randell. We actually went to college together for a brief period of time. And we have this interview set up, and I felt it was really fitting because last week we talked about how loving the Black man was hard. And I wanted to jump into a segment um, following that, just about the trials and tribulations of being a Black man. He's a great candidate because, one, he is a Black man, and two, I figure his views are really interesting because not only does he have insight on being a Black man here in the United States, but he has lived abroad. And one of the places he lived was China, and he lived there during the pandemic. Okay, got your attention now. He has a lot going on. So he went from the China pandemic, and he came back home to basically a modern day civil war. So I think it's going to be totally interesting. Hope you guys enjoy the interview, and here it is. So, Lance, I definitely appreciate you coming on today.
Well, first, let me say thank you for inviting me on here to do this. This is really cool. I'm really excited to be here. A little bit about me. I am originally from Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay, good old Ohio.
Oldest of three boys. Yes, Ohio.
Yeah,
Ohio. The oldest of three boys. Went to three different colleges. One in West Virginia, Wheeling Jesuit. One in Ohio, Walsh University. Then I graduated from a small school in PA called Teal College. Moved around a bit after college. I lived in Pittsburgh, Phoenix, Washington State. And then the past 3.5 years, I've been living in China, coaching basketball, training kids with basketball over there. And recently, about a month or so ago, I decided to move back to America during a pandemic. And, now we're here.
And there you go. See, I don't know for some reason why I thought you had finished at Jesuit. I don't know. I thought you were there.
I left after sophomore year.
Really? Okay, yeah, I was sophomore year too. See, we were talking on.
He was out.
Sorry, because I'm still paying on that 2.5 semesters, so it's okay.
Same.
It's okay. This student loans that. So what was really interesting and why I wanted you on, because you are like super. I like love the fact that you went overseas to like really live. So. Yeah. Can you take me through like that process and that thought process of what made you want to go over there in the first place?
Well, at the time I was coaching basketball at a community college in Washington State, and one of my brothers was playing professional basketball, and his agent was looking for coaches to go to China to run their basketball academies. And I was trying to coach at a bigger college and looking for jobs doing that, but nothing was really falling into place. And he told me that going over there would help my chances of getting a college job after a year. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. And then I was like, well, China is a place that nobody really knows too much about.
At all.
I didn't think many of us, got to go over there.
Yeah.
And experience that. And it was just a chance to go and see a different part of the world. So I took the chance. And after I agreed, like 2 or 3 weeks later, 3 or 4 weeks later, I was gone.
Wow.
In a different country, in a different part of the world, by myself. But it was honestly the best experience of my life. It was great.
Yeah. So me and you went to the same college for a little bit, and that was Wheeling Jesuit. And as you know, there were a few token Black individuals there. Me and you being both. Yeah. So being accustomed to being and not having too many of us around, was that kind of the same thing in China? How did you kind of adapt to being a tall Black man in China? Did everybody think you were like Kobe Bryant, or what was going on?
Everybody did pretty much assume I either played basketball or I was a celebrity of some sort.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But I was surprised at the amount of Black people that were there.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, my first 2 weeks, it was just me and my assistant coach who was Black, and I didn't really see many foreigners in general. And then I happened to go out one night, or someone took me out. Another foreigner took me out one night just to go out in the town and explore some. And we went into a club called Brooklyn, and it happened to be run by a Black foreigner.
Oh, wow.
And I walk in, and I'm like, oh my God, there are Black people here. I'm not gonna die. So after that, we exchanged numbers and everything and started hanging out a lot more. And then I got to see the actual Black community that was in the city I was in, and there were a decent amount of us,
Okay,
over
cool.
50 for sure. So it was interesting, but 50 people was not a lot over there
No,
at
not
all,
at all.
at all. So I say it like it's a lot, but it was enough to feel some sort of community.
Okay. And I know
Yeah,
because we have, we're used to kind of being the only ones or not having that community where we're surrounded by us. Not like we went to a HBCU or anything like that. Like you said,
right.
all of our schools we went to were kind of backwoods, you know,
Hmm.
mostly white. So did you ever feel like out of place or let's go before the pandemic, did you feel like any racism or were people just kind of pretty much nice to you everywhere you went because they thought you were like a basketball player or a celebrity or something like that.
um, I personally, I didn't experience any negative racism, and of course you see it. People pointing and taking pictures of you without, letting you know and recording you just for no reason. But for a lot of Chinese people, their racism is more so out of ignorance or lack of exposure to Black people.
Gotcha.
Um, Theirs isn't like taught to them how it is in other places, America. Um, but I do know some people who did have some racial experiences there. And usually it was when Chinese people got drunk and uh, the foreigners just didn't agree to whatever they wanted to do. But for the most part, everything was fine. I didn't really
Okay.
experience anything too bad.
Well, I'm happy at least, because we didn't want to have to bring all the troops over there to come get you and
I know. I was gonna call him too. I was gonna call him. I'm like, hey, I need some reinforcements.
I could totally understand. So walk me through kind of when the pandemic hit. I know it started over there a lot
Mhm.
sooner than over here. So how was it being a foreigner in a new place? Well, by there you have been there 3.5 years. So you
Yeah.
were kind of familiar with it, but I mean you're still away from
Mhm.
everybody. And this happens and it seems like some crazy movie. So what was going through your head at the time?
Yeah. So it was actually really crazy because when in China, when everything was just starting, they told us that there was a new virus going around, but it really wasn't that serious yet. People could still move around a bit and
Uh-huh.
do everything. And this is in January. So uh, January is also Chinese New Year in
Yep.
China. So there's like a week when or 2 weeks, people just don't work. So one of those, I was working and I had a week off in between two of my training sessions.
Mhm.
So I was going to use that time to come home to meet my nephew, who was just born on my birthday
All right.
a couple of days before. So I my last day of class was on the 23rd or 22nd of January, and I left on the 23rd to come back to America. So China shut down on the 27th or 28th, and
Oh
I was
wow.
supposed to fly back to China on the 28th. So when it shut down, I was like, well, cancel that flight because it doesn't make sense to go back there. So I canceled my flight, and then I was stuck in Washington for a month. Then I
Wow.
ended up going back. I ended up going to Thailand um, for 2 weeks before going back to China because China hadn't closed their borders yet to foreigners. So when I got back there, I had to do a mandatory 2-week quarantine. They sealed me in the apartment. I couldn't open the door from the inside, or I have to restart over again. And I think
Wow.
that was the most racism I felt, honestly, was when I got back to China. Because people, they didn't want to be close to me. They were just, being overly cautious. Um, they didn't even want me to come back to my apartment, like to the complex. They wanted me to stay in some hotel because,
Wow.
oh no, he's a foreigner. He's coming from abroad. He has the virus. And I'm like, no, it started here. So calm down. Um,
Yeah, right.
so that was probably the most racism and prejudice I felt was going back. But then after my quarantine was over, I I decided to move back home. So I like in the like 3, maybe a month after my quarantine was up in China, I moved back here. So it's been really weird going through all of this because I was running away from it.
Yeah.
And then now I'm in the middle of it again. So
Right. So not only did you trying to run away from this whole coronavirus and this pandemic, and then we steamroll that into a modern day civil war.
yes.
So
It's so
uh,
much.
I know I'll follow you if you want to drop some of your acts as well. That'll be great because I know you got a lot of stuff going on. So
Mhm.
you can do that. But explain to me kind of when all of this started, your thought process, and were you confused? Were you hurt? Were you scared? Just kind of just your thoughts on everything.
Um, well, yeah, I mean, yes, I was hurt and angry and enraged and infuriated, all the feelings and emotions that you get when you see something like that. But I think I've always been kind of easily triggered by racial events, just from certain situations I've been in growing up, and then coming from China, where when I had left, the treatment of Black and Brown people was getting pretty bad in certain parts of China. Not where I was at, but in certain parts, it was getting really bad. And just the how they were framing the blame of the virus, and how it was still moving throughout China was being directed mostly towards Africans, but Black people in general. So I was very kind of like on eggshells anyway. And so when the George Floyd case happened, and even before that with Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, I was like, what is going on?
Exactly.
It's just one thing after another, compounded with some other personal things I was going through. It was just a lot to deal with. Um, and I'm worried more so for my brothers because they live in a very white part of the country,
Yeah.
up in Washington. And, you know, it's not a developed city or a very forward-thinking city where they are. So something like this could easily happen to them up there. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm confused because I'm not shocked by the behavior of the parties involved. Uh, but what I am shocked about is some people's indifference to what's going on.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't
I'm just
it?
like, how can you not have a response to this?
No, I
Like,
mean, no,
I don't
you're
understand.
absolutely. Do you feel like you had to block, delete, leave some people alone after this whole situation? Or are you giving
Yeah,
them a pass for ignorance?
I'm not giving them a pass, but I'm giving them some time
Okay.
to either educate themselves and get on board, or continue to think how they've been thinking, and then I'll go through that purge that some people have already done. Um,
Yeah,
but
because
I
I
mean,
was
'cause I feel like, oh, go ahead, sorry.
oh, no, I was saying I was surprised actually how, vocal a lot of us have became over this time, and I don't know if it was just this is kind of enough situation or what was going on, but I was pleasantly surprised of,
Mhm.
everybody speaking up and speaking out and, not taking
Yeah,
anyone's
and
nonsense.
I think because it was so many back to back, and I feel like if these atrocities would have been spread further apart, it wouldn't have had the effect that it has now. And I don't think as many people would have spoken up, or have been so vocal about their opinions in general. So, as unfortunate as these events are, it kind of just worked out in a way to where enough people have had enough, you know, and we won't be quiet anymore about it.
No, definitely. I mean, I'm all aboard. And I just want to thank you because I mean, sometimes people do get discouraged and they don't know what to say. And sometimes it just start with seeing someone else and it
Hmm.
helps them, put together words and are able to process things a little better. So definitely, keep up the good work, keep up your posting, keep up everything else
Thank you.
because you have a much larger following than I do. So definitely
Man, I've been blessed to have a decent amount of followers, and hopefully, they're paying attention to what I've been posting, because you never know. You really never know. But I'm just trying to get the word out there, spread as much knowledge as I can. Hopefully things will work out for the best.
Yeah, no, totally. So if this so happens to go viral and a million trillion people hear this conversation right now, and I want you to kind of express just your feelings as a black man living in
Hmm.
today, in America.
Ooh, man. That's a loaded
And I have a
question
split I
there.
have a explicit thing on my on the podcast. So you go ahead and you be as completely honest as you need to be.
No, I mean, I really okay. So I had this conversation with some friends of mine because we're going to do a podcast as well. And one of my suggestions was to limit the amount of swearing or to not do it at all
Yeah,
because
it's
just to have
good
a
to
sense of like professionalism.
yeah, you wanna try not to, but just in case it slips out, we wanna
Right.
keep it real as well. So, I
Well, I'm
can
so used to turning it on and off because of my mom. So like I turn it on
of
and off,
course.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty used to that. So I don't think I need to. I don't. You got to worry about any
Okay.
expletives with me.
Gotcha.
Um, but my thoughts about being a black man in America. America is supposed to be the best place to live, in the world because we're so open and it's a melting pot of all these different cultures and races and everything. And part of that is true. There are a lot of opportunities for um, anybody really, especially coming from a different country where you may not have certain opportunities because you're a woman or because of your religion or your sexuality or what have you. I think America provides a pretty good opportunity for everyone as far as that goes. However, there are a lot of things systematically that hinder a lot of people as well. And I've gone to good schools. I've got to travel the world some. I've lived a pretty good life without many hardships. But there are
Gotcha.
so many other people that I know personally who haven't had that opportunity, and a lot of it they have no control over. They try to do the right thing and they try to go about things the right way. They work hard and things like that, but they still are trapped by the system. So, being a black man in America, there's so many things that you have to look out for because nobody knows where you're from really on the street, and everybody takes a second look at you. You get followed around everywhere, or mom's grabbing her kids when you walk by. And I'm like, I'm one of the nicest people ever. So you don't have to do that
Definitely.
around me. But nobody knows that. They just take a look at you, one look at you, at the color of your skin, and especially as a man, and I'm tall too, and I have this beard now, so I guess I look more intimidating. Um,
Right.
and they just react initially of how you look. And a lot of that can weigh on you mentally. So I'm also fortunate that I have a good support system between my family and my friends that are always there to listen or help build me up if I'm ever feeling down or just to continuously build me up in general as I go throughout life. But it's hard. It's really hard being a black man, especially nowadays because the cops are just on a tear, for black men, and you just never know when it could be you. You're taught to comply and to do what they say, but even that isn't a guarantee that you're going to be safe. So that concern is always there, and you worry about your brothers, especially ones that don't have the same temperament as you.
All right.
Because my youngest brother is very vocal, and
Yeah.
his fuse is very short. So if he gets in a situation like this, I just worry about him, reacting instead of responding. So that worry can sometimes get really heavy. So yeah, it's just really hard. And I think traveling the world and seeing how different cultures are in relation to Black people, you see how much more widely accepted we are in other places. Even though they have like racism is everywhere, I get that, but it's not as visible and it's not as violent as it is here. So yeah, it's tough. But hey, we're built for adverse times.
That's what they say, right?
We have some of the toughest skin ever. So hey, we get through it.
No, I definitely agree with you. And it was crazy because I didn't realize as even just a woman how much of it, women, we always empower each other. There's always, groups and organizations about making sure our mental health is okay and making sure, we're doing what we're supposed to do to keep ourselves sane. And you
Hmm.
look at our counterparts, and there isn't much awareness about Black men, making sure their mental health is okay, what they're dealing with on a daily basis,
Yes.
and just all of that. So that's why I kind of want to get your male perspective on
Yeah,
the
because
that self
culturally,
care. Yeah,
oh right, and I'm so happy that I was just saying to my mom the other day, like self care has made such a huge leap forward, um, not just for men but for Black men specifically, because we're taught to always be hard and
yeah, you can't cry,
hyper
no show
masculine, right?
emotion.
Don't cry,
Yeah,
exactly. And I didn't. My parents weren't so hard on that with me,
hmm,
but still, just as a culture,
yeah,
that was kind of what was expected. So me just going through life, making some decisions, and ultimately leaving the country, I experienced a different kind of freedom, where I could really be myself and express myself the way I want to. If I was hurt or if I was sad, if I was upset, I didn't have to try and put on, that wall or that armor of being a Black man. You know, I could just be me, and I just happen to be Black. So,
yeah,
um, but excuse me, I'm very happy that a lot of high profile people have brought awareness to mental health and self care, because it's so, so important. It doesn't matter how hyper masculine you are or how hard you want to be. Everybody needs to take care of themselves. Everyone needs somewhere to vent to or to let some stuff out, let out some steam, but in a productive way. Um, So yeah, I'm all for self care Sundays. Like on Insecure, I don't have a Sunday, but I mean, I do my best to find ways to take my mind off of everything that's going on. Because if you think about it too much, it can get really, really heavy and have a negative impact on your mental. And
yeah.
at times like this, we can't afford to be too down. We have to use that frustration and anger to fuel that fight. But sometimes you have to remove yourself